Roger. Go for deploy.
All right, guys. Welcome back to Adventure Fit Radio. Today, what we have for you is an episode with Dan, Katz and Zac Grgurevic. It's pretty interesting in this show because first off the bat, before I say anything about the actual show, I must mention, when I mention the names of our guests, I must mention that Zac, great friend of mine, Zac, he misspelled his own name halfway through the show, which is unfathomable that anyone can be silly enough to do that. But Zac definitely, if you go through, you'll hear it. You can skip back and play it again and again, and you'll notice that, yep, he misspelled his own name. Anyway, Zac and Dan are both national champion weightlifters in Australia, both on their way to representing Australia at the Commonwealth Games next year. Dan going to give it a real good nudge. Zac just has to not fuck up, and he'll probably be there. Real high-level athletes, real good mates of mine and Tommy's. And we actually don't talk anything about weightlifting in the show. We might talk 20 minutes in it, and then it's about an hour and a half of philosophy, politics, fucking I don't even know what else. But it was one of my favourite shows I've ever recorded. It was an absolute ripper. So you guys are going to love it. Before you listen to the show, just word from our sponsors, obviously. So, guys, this show's brought to you by Audible. Check out audibletrial.com/ADVF radio, and you will get a free audiobook and 30-day free trial. Audible is an amazing audiobook warehouse, guys. If you're not listening to audiobooks, then you are wasting your time. I really think that. I think the more that you read or the more that you listen to other people's thoughts that have gone before you, and the more well-rounded of a person you'll be. So it's a passive way to take in knowledge. I just walked Ziggy and my dog, and then as I was walking Ziggy, I was listening to The Everything Store, the book about Amazon and Jeff Bezos and how he built Amazon into what will be most likely the world's first $1 trillion company. Also, guys, we are brought to you by Quash Creative. Head to quashcreative.com and check out the guys down there. So they're an Elwood-based design firm, and they can help you with anything design-wise, guys. They also built the intro for our podcast, and great friends of the show. So use the code radio when you speak to the guys, and you'll get a free SEO report or a report on your current or existing brand. Also, last but not least, we are brought to you by Adventure Fit Travel. So, guys, we have just released Hawaii. So that is 8 days on the Big Island and Maui over in Hawaii for May of next year. So if you are keen for an epic holiday, we're going to be stargazing. We're going to be doing lots of epic hikes, lots of epic volcano hikes, lots of surfing, lots of diving, all kinds of just fucking amazingness. If you're up for it and you want a holiday around May of next year, then come and see us. We're also about to release Greece and Bali, and we have New Zealand. Might be a couple of tickets on Iceland in December left by the time this show airs. Kokoda, Australia. We got a bunch of stuff going on. So head to www.adventurefittravel.com. Use the code word radio for 10% off. Here's the show. We're here with Dan, Katz and Zac Grgurevic. Welcome, boys. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having us back.
I've already started to regret it. Going by
Since the smell came in?
Yes, that and the content so far. The content smells like the show. This room smells. So what's been happening anyway, guys? So Zac, you've been. The last time we spoke, you guys were giving us an update on you guys were kind of Com Games qualifying stages.
We were going through it, weren't we?
We were going through that kind of stuff. That was about 4 months ago now, 3 months ago, whatever.
It was a couple of weeks before Nationals, wasn't it?
No, it was before the Australian Open.
That's right.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah. So that was the first comp of the year. Lots changed since then for me, but I don't know about for you. Yeah, I've gone up a division.
Dan's
Dan's
game's come out. Congratulations, mate. A lot's changed for me, guys.
So the short story is I competed as a 77, had like a big build up. I was training awesome, and I did shit. And like the guy, I just did like the same weights that I've always done.
Yep.
And Francois, who's like in front, like the best guy in the division, just killed it. And he's like, it was basically one of those totals that you just could not beat. It was I'd have to snatch 138 and clean and jerk 170 to beat him.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I was like, oh, I could do those weights, but not as a 77.
Nah.
Yeah.
And the 85s were kind of wide open. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just go up.
Nice.
And then I can eat whatever I want. Yeah, I've gotten way bigger. I'm not lifting anymore, but I'm way bigger.
Yeah.
So,
because I checked the stats. What was on that weekend? Something was on. The Arnold was on.
The Arnold was on the same weekend.
The Arnold.
Yes, it was.
The Arnold. Because I tried to get down and I didn't. So but I checked the the scorecards and I saw you competed at like 80 kilos or something. So it was like you were just kind of walking around weight. Is that what happened? You were 80 when you weighed?
No, I think you're getting
80?
confused because he competed as a 77 at the
You're actually
Australian
77.
Open, and then Nationals he competed at 80 kilos.
That's
He
what I
just-
was reading.
He rocked up to
Nationals, I
Nationals.
weighed 80 kilos. I had the flu for 3 weeks beforehand. So I was like a pathetic 85. I was just a fat 77.
Exactly, yeah. Or just a real skinny rat boy 85.
I know. I was just
It's
like,
getting a bit personal now.
I was just in
fuck with
weightlifting
me.
purgatory. I wasn't really anything. Shit.
So what's going on there, Katsy? So have you had a good crack at 85 kilograms? Or
I've had a good crack at putting on weight. Got up to like 87 the other week. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Too bad I'm not lifting anymore.
you're not lifting?
No. I'm actually training pretty well.
Yep.
I'm just starting to sort of like settle into the weight.
Yep.
So I was just kind of just fat.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to actually put on some muscle and
Yeah.
like my body's adapting to the new dynamics and the new weight and shit. But no, it's going well. I'm actually training pretty well. My strength's pretty shit at the moment. Like my squats and pulls are pretty awful.
But you're moving pretty well.
But I'm like lifting big weights. Like I'm snatching big weights and I'm clean jerking big weights. But like I'm back squatting like 150 kilos.
Right.
Literally, my back squats and my front squats are all pathetic.
Wow.
But I'm clean jerking 160. So
Really?
nothing makes sense.
Yeah. What is love?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's going on, but whatever. You know, the aim of weightlifting is not to do big squats and pulls. It's to do big clean and jerks and snatches. So
Yeah, that's right.
Hang on.
I'd rather have this situation than the other. Yeah.
How did you go about moving up in weight? Did you just
What
eat
was your
food?
diet like?
Because what were you walking around at 77? About 80 anyway.
About 80.
Yeah.
I was getting up to about 81, and it was just becoming really hard to cut. Because I was training really well as a 77, but I kept getting big because I was training really well.
Yeah.
And then just the cut was killing me. Like I'd make weight and my legs would be shaking. I was like, fuck, I'm fucked before I'm even lifting. And this is really shit. So then I decided to go up to 85s and I feel really good.
Yeah, that's good.
But, how did I go as putting on weight? I was really struggling at the beginning, and then I just said, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to eat heaps of bagels and drink heaps of milk. And I put on the weight. I put on 5 kilos in a week and a half.
Bagels.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Literally, I bought a dozen bagels and I ate them in like 2 days. And I was drinking like 1.5 litres of milk. You love that?
It's just great. It's so specific.
It's the
bagels and milk.
Oh,
It's
bagels
the
and
Ivan
milk.
Katz- the
What
Ivan
did he say
Katz
to you?
bulking train.
What did he say to you that time? He was like,
He-
"Oh, Bill, we're gonna put you on some weight."
He said to me.
They
He
told him
kept,
about dad.
Yeah, he told
yeah,
him
your
that
old man.
dietary requirements.
Yeah, he said, how you going putting the weight? Because I was the same. I was 80 kilos, trying to get down to 77. Your old man was like, you're never going to make it down there. Then I had a good comp at 79, the one you coached me at, where I snatched that 110 years ago. And then I was trying to go down, but then I got injured. So your old man's like, it's not happening. You got to go up. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's about 81, 82. And I was like, maybe getting to like 83 or whatever. Your old man's like, what are you doing? Like, what's taking you so long? Put the weight on, mate. And I'm like, Ivan, I'm fucking trying. Yeah. He's like, you're not obviously trying very hard. I'm like, well, I eat fucking tons of food. I eat heaps of food. What do you eat? And I'm like, I eat a fucking plate of broccoli this big. I eat fucking this, that. And he's like, broccoli? What is this broccoli shit? It's like, you got to eat the dirty stuff. You got to get fat, then we'll get you strong. I'm like, okay. So you're talking. So what I did, I went home. that afternoon, that's when I had started the Krispy Kreme iced coffee Big M post-workout.
Yeah.
So I took a photo, sent it to your old man, and he wrote to me, "Good boy." And then, and then I went and spoke to him, and he's like, "It's not enough. It's not enough. Just go. Just give it a real go." And then I'm like, "Fuck, all right." So then it started to become a pie, donut, and a Big M. On the way home, I'd take a photo. But then one afternoon, I came home from training, and I went past McDonald's. I got a thick shake, because I can't eat Big Maccas. Like I just can't eat it.
Yeah.
So, for me, it was huge. I had like an Angus burger, some sort of big double fucking patty Big Mac or whatever they're called, large fries, a
That'd be a cool
large
pounder.
thick shake.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a Saturday afternoon after training. I went home. I bought all this shit. I pretty much just did it to make your old man laugh. I took a photo of it, sent it to him, and I sat on the couch. It took me fucking so long to eat. I ate it all, and I went out that night, and it ruined my fucking night.
Oh, yeah.
It ruined my whole.
fucked.
It
You would
fucked
feel
me.
like a bin.
Fucking horrible.
It cooked me bad.
Yeah.
Jesus. That's just like a tradie diet.
Yeah.
You're just eating iced chocolate and
Eat nice chocolate.
But
Drinking pies.
Yeah.
chicken pies.
Going out the shop, boys. You need what's that? The meat pie.
The
You know the old meat pie?
510 pie or whatever it was.
Yeah, there was a famous
National Pie.
What's that? Rabbit food.
Oh,
Remember
yeah,
that?
that's right.
I remember
It's
that.
eating the salad roll. Rabbit food.
I'm just scarred from hearing that at lunch. Like, you'd be eating your lunch there, you're not even tuna and rice. Be like, you fucking eating that? I'm just eating my tuna and rice. Faggot, eat a pie. I'm like, you can't say that to me. I'm like 16 and impressionable.
What do you mean, mate?
Shit.
But I think,
sexually attuned to
I think
outside.
Daniel's got to put in context, like, understanding what his old man's understanding of dietary requirements were.
Yeah.
Because this is a man that would, like, in the 70s and 80s would, like, eat. What would he eat for, like, training?
He ate like donuts for lunch.
Nice.
That's
And
what
then
got
he'd
me on
eat
the fucking
4 steaks for dinner or something. And
And then go,
I never
can't
ate
get down
breakfast
6
properly as a kid because I had my dad as a role model. And he'd get 2 pieces of toast, butter them, put jam on them, take 1 bite out of it, and then drink 3 cups of coffee. That's what he ate my entire life. One bite, but butter,
Coffee.
like 5 pieces of
Does he
toast.
have any kidneys left, or is his kidneys just fucked?
He's
kidneys
basically
are
made of
fine.
metal. He's
He's what?
basically made of metal. But
Yeah.
his kidneys are good.
His kidneys,
Probably- he's
they might be a
Wolverine.
bit
He's
shit now
Wolverine.
because the amount of Lipitor he has to have. But he's all right.
He's going
His
good.
body's fucked, but his
sharp.
internals are all
He's
right.
sharp.
Apparently, he used to be over 6 foot. Too many bagels.
He
Too
got
many
condensed. He got condensed
He got
into
condensed,
a
yeah.
metallic frame.
Like his milk was always condensed. And just
He's
sort
going to
of
remove his brain and have like a little jar.
Because I put on weight really quick at doing that. I got up to 87, 88, and then your old man was like, right, okay, pump the brakes. Because I could have kept going to
Bill couldn't
90,
breathe, though.
94s.
Oh, once you get a taste for it, you're like, this is the best.
Yeah, I know. And you feel like a real man too.
setting up for a clean. He's already overweight.
rubbing their bellies. We can't all talk at the same time as well. We have to try and have
I
some
thought I'd been
semblance.
quite good.
You've been all right. Yeah, you can just sit there, keep rubbing your belly.
Yeah, the Buddha.
So what do you reckon,
massive good
Katsy? So you're walking around at 87, 88 for 85s now, eh? You're pretty happy?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with with my weight. I just got to get stronger. I mean, the other thing is because it's the Commonwealth Games year. I mean, all other years I'd kind of just be like, do my own thing, not worry about what other people are doing. Because it's Commonwealth Games year and what everyone else is doing is actually really important because you got to be the best person. You're like sort of on Instagram and shit, and you're checking what people are doing. You're like, fuck, yeah, I got to pick up the game. Like some people posting some big lifts on Instagram.
So who's getting around at the moment then? In the 85?
In the 85s? Oh, well, the funny thing is I'm training with probably the best 85s in the country. Like, there's me, Pity, Boris, Liam.
Yeah.
We're all in the same gym, so I get to see what they do pretty much every day.
Did Boris win nationals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a 170 clean jerk the other day. And he snatched 140.
Best front squat of like
He
175.
did a 130 snatch for 3. And
Jesus.
And me, Liam, and Pity were just sitting there going, motherfucker.
Shit name though, isn't it?
Huh?
Shit
Boris.
name.
Depends how you
Boris,
pronounce
that's
it,
a
mate.
sick name.
Depends how you pronounce it.
Boris.
Nah, it's shit.
But
Boris.
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 Yes. Boris Johnson. The Soviet Union.
Do you just think of that guy? Do you think of that guy from James Bond, that James Bond movie?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
That's who you think of,
I always just think of the Soviet Union when I hear the name Boris. It's like, I was thinking of The Simpsons as well, actually, when they go like, oh, hang on. Oh, yeah, Soviet Union. I thought we closed that guy's down. That's what we wanted you all to believe. No, that was flat. I'm out. See you guys.
you said before we closed that guy's down too. You
You're
lost
talking about when
him
the Boris
before he
Johnson rocked up to, like, isn't it Jerry Ford's house? Like, because he's living across the street.
Oh,
did
Boris
say that.
Yeltsin, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
'cause
got
he was-
like that big ass birthmark
that
on
was
his head.
Gorbachev.
I thought we closed that
I don't know.
down.
It doesn't fucking
I
matter.
got to brush up on my Soviet leaders.
Yeah.
Well, hey, last
That was
podcast.
Gorbachev. Oh, shit.
My
did
Soviet
last time I
leaders that
was-
have been on The Simpsons. You mean?
How do we always talk about Marxism and communism on this?
We're not
Because
talking
you
about
bring it up.
Marxism and
No one's-
communism,
no-
mate. That's the first time we've mentioned it, you idiot.
Well, I think we should talk about the real issues of the world.
Why don't we always talk about these things that I really want to talk about? You always
Oh,
manage to
shit.
steer a conversation
That's
into about
cool.
Marxism.
That's not steering. That's
Especially
just
when you
fucking-
make
Literally
Michael's
making a
around.
new conversation.
Your mate
That's
Michael.
stealing, not
Hey,
steering.
you leave Michael alone. Tommy's mate as well.
Ah, yes, the old mate left winger.
Let's talk about Michael.
Yeah.
Well,
He's your mate.
Bill, for the
Bill
for your
Bruno.
purposes, we have a friend who's well, we'll call it
Commie bastard.
Yeah, he's a commie
commie
bastard.
prick.
He's a commie bastard. Yep. And well, he's a good dude. I like him. We can talk about his political agenda separate to the man.
Yeah.
Well,
I
let's not
agree
talk
with
about
that.
the man.
Daniel
No one
doesn't.
cares
We'll
about
talk
the
about the
man.
man. Exactly. Yeah.
I like him as a guy. As a
Hang on.
bloke.
Well, it needs a leg to stand on. We should probably get him on the show if we want to
Yeah.
talk about him.
He
But,
wouldn't mind. He'd laugh.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He's got a good sense of humor. He's a pretty funny guy.
He's a good.
Unless it's like a communist meme, he can just send me those.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
He's just a staunch comment.
Well, where would you be there? Would you be left or right of the centrality?
What do I look like? I wear...
A bin.
Yeah, a bit. A bit. Oh, no, I'm definitely far right.
Far right.
Yeah, 100%.
You're not far right.
Of course I'm not.
You're like centre.
I'm like
right.
centre. I'm like... Oh, God, no.
You're probably
You know what I like?
on social issues. You're probably more left.
Yeah,
To be
100%.
honest.
I'm a socialist libertarian.
Because you're a pussy.
Social service.
Shut up! No, you're not.
You're a
I don't even know what that means.
No, but you said it once and it sounded smart.
I said that.
Yeah, you told me that I was a social libertarian.
They're just two words that you slap together. I'm not
so
sure
then
what
what
either
do
Pretty
of
much
them are.
like any political party ever.
Huh? Yeah.
And so, what are your reasons then, Mr. Grgurevic,
Pardon?
for being slightly right of centre? What are your reasons?
Logic.
Yeah. Social justice warriors.
Look, we can go into this for hours and hours and hours and you can spin your wheels for days about it. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. The social justice warriors are constantly like attacking the far right and the far right are constantly attacking them. And then everyone in the middle is just kind of like, what the fuck are these two idiots doing? We've got other things to worry about besides these massive issues that you keep, these issues that you keep bringing up. Instead of like, arguing about, what's going on at universities and where, this particular group's fighting this group on campus day and one group's walking around with bats and beating the shit out of each other. Yeah, that's an issue. But, like, is that really a problem when we got social welfare things we can worry about? Even like the gay marriage thing. Like, we've got other things we can worry about. And on the gay marriage thing, once they vote on it, everyone can shut the fuck up and move
Yeah.
on with it so that we all be happy.
Yeah,
because
I feel like most people just want to move on.
yeah, like, 'cause
Yeah.
no
No one
one's
cares.
got an issue with it.
No,
no
no
one's
one
got an issue
cares.
with it.
Did you
It's
see,
great. My
did-
sister-in-law's gay. I fucking think it's great.
Did you see
yeah.
there was
Yeah.
did you see the ad that you can say no ad? Did
Yeah,
you see
that was
that?
so-
Wasn't that
wasn't it?
horrible?
Yeah, and what about the lady that goes, I can't believe it. They made my son dress as a what was it?
As a girl, wasn't it?
No, as a same. They made my son role play as a same-sex couple at school.
So?
What the fuck's wrong
And-
with that?
Yeah.
No, but having said that, why the fuck are they doing that?
Well, I mean, if you're playing like say we're doing Romeo and Juliet at school, you play
Yeah.
all the characters in Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Steve.
Romeo and Steve. But you know what I mean. Like, say I don't know what the context was. I don't know whether it was like some sort of a fucking Shakespearean play where there's two dudes in there or there's two girls or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, who gives a fuck?
I
Yeah.
think what Tim said.
Or do you disagree?
You go.
What? Well, I just think, like, they seem to be pushing this sort of stuff on really young kids that
Yeah.
don't need to know about it. I feel. It's like
Yeah.
it's like
Conservative.
Continue,
Steve
Mr.
over here.
Bagel.
it's sorry.
Continue, Mr. Bagel.
Yeah.
Put the milk in the bagel.
I've noticed at uni, for instance, like I go into the student centre and there's a sign saying like say no to transphobia and stand up for LGBTQ QI.
WYZ.
but I just felt like I saw that post like say no to transphobia. I'm like, who the fuck's transphobic?
Yeah.
It's like they're being outraged about something that's like it's not even a thing. Like I don't know anyone who goes, fuck, I hate trans people.
Yeah.
No one says
so
that.
true.
No, that's right.
That makes
Even
it a
anyone from
thing.
Tasmania.
I agree with you to that. I agree.
It's true.
I agree with you to that degree. I don't agree so much. Like I think kids need to know that it's cool to have fucking two dudes together in a relationship, and so I don't think it's too young to just have that as part of the.
But
whatever,
doesn't
the
need to be
role-playing.
forced upon you.
But the thing, I always make a point of, and I've copped some heat about this, but to your point, and I don't know whether you agree with this one, is like blackface. So blackface, for example, there was a kid in Frankston that got hammered from pillar to post because they had a rap and R&B night at the Frankston Football Club, and he dressed up as like Nelly or whatever, painted himself black.
Yeah.
And this kid had no idea what blackface was in the 1910s in America or whatever, you know. So, but everyone got absolutely hammered, and then I remember Nick Nat-Nui was interviewed in the paper about it, and he said that I used to love when all the white kids would paint themselves brown as and wear my jumper. I used to love it. But now that I know the history, I think it's really sad that they haven't been educated well enough. And I was like, well, hang on a sec, Nick Nat-Nui.
Yeah, that's
like
critical.
you loved it, and you weren't educated well enough.
Yeah.
But now that you are educated well enough, people that aren't educated well enough are in the wrong.
Are in the wrong. It's
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
I totally agree.
So to your point, like making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not even a fucking issue there. So yeah,
Don't make an issue.
I
Everything
can
like-
see how you could get offended by it, but I mean, it's all about putting it into context. Like in the context of those kids, it's like a homage to Nick Nat-Nui. They're not doing it because they're trying to insult him.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not like, oh, fucking black people. They're like, I love this black guy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I
wearing
would
his
have thought
jumper.
that would be a sort of positive
I want to
thing.
be this
if
black
anything.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
that's right.
Totally.
And there's a lot of these things, like a lot of these cultural issues that have this hangover in society. I mean, I believe that the longer we talk about them, the longer we make them a huge issue, the longer they'll stay around.
Of course.
You know, the day should come to a point where you can dress up as whoever the fuck you want, no matter what the fuck. Like, you can dress up as two gay guys to a party and act all camp. If you're a straight guy, should be able to dress up as blackface or put on a
Purple face.
Yeah,
whatever.
And nobody cares because it's not an issue. So the longer we make it but that's my opinion, and I know
I agree.
a lot of people.
I tend to agree with that
A lot
as
of
well,
people don't agree with me, but that's how I feel about the whole thing.
A good example is my girlfriend's mum works at a library, and she said they have these stickers that they put on books to indicate that it's a family book, and it'll have like a mum, a dad, and a kid. And now they can't use those stickers because it doesn't take into consideration like sort of traditional families. But I'm like, everyone knows what that means. It's just a symbol. Like, you shouldn't get offended by that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's how families start. You need to have a man and a woman, and then they make a kid.
Where do you draw the line? At what point, like, not I say drawing a line, like, but where do you kind of say, okay, like, for example, like, you know, oh, that's all right, but like, at what point is it become unacceptable? Well, not unacceptable to go, well, come on, guys, like, how far are we going to push this issue to make, you're making an, like Bill said, a mountain out of a molehill. Like, where do you say, where do you stop? Because if you do say you want to, like, if you say, oh, we've got to stop here, you're instantly ridiculed as, oh, you're transphobic, oh, you're anti-gay. But that may not be the thing. You may not have any problem against it, but you're instantly labelled as that. So there needs to be some more discussion on that side of the coin where it's like, well, that guy just doesn't agree with me. Because too often you see people with, like, you know, that agree with non-binary and stuff like that. Like, they are instantly attack. There's never any open discussion on it. Like,
Well, for instance, last night I was talking about this at the table with my girlfriend's mum, and Emily's sister is a feminist and she's a bit of a social justice warrior. And she was arguing for the case that no, they shouldn't be a symbol for a family because it does, you know, that's offensive to some kid that, you know, he's got two dads or whatever. And I was just like, yeah, but fucking hell, it's a slippery slope argument, which I'm going to have. And she goes, well, that's just a slippery slope argument. I'm like, yeah, but that has merit, you know, because
why is my
this
argument
can
less than
go
yours?
too far.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much we accept, no matter how much we cater towards these people, it will never be enough.
Yeah.
Because people, I think at the core of it, people want to have a cause to fight for.
Yeah.
And people want to be on a team.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I don't know when it will end.
But it's just like a symbol. It's a symbol. It's a symbol for a family. Like, whereas because it's the most common way that a family is put together. So, for example, like if you want to have a maths textbook, and you want to have a logo for a maths company. And you have a plus and a minus. That doesn't mean that fucking the percentage symbol, the divided symbol, the fucking whatever. It doesn't mean that none of those can be used and that none of those are applicable. It's the most common form of like people will relate. Oh, that's maths. You know what I mean? Because it's still 98% of the fucking families are man and woman.
Well, is like I hear a lot of this stuff about when just very very sort of. I'm going to say it, far left-wing people or social justice warriors or whatever you want to call it, they go, oh, no, you can't do that because that's offensive to him or that's offensive to her. It's like, well, who are you talking about? Like, I don't actually hear them saying, hey, that's offensive to me.
They're
you just get a lot of people saying, oh, that's offensive to trans people or that's offensive. Like, where are those people going, yeah, I actually do find that offensive. They're not.
It's like
they're never there.
They're getting offended on behalf of people.
That's right. Yeah.
And in the case of this library, they're doing it because they don't want to get into trouble. They're not doing it because this is a cause they care passionately about.
Yeah, that's right.
They just like, we don't want to get hounded by people.
Totally.
For having non-traditional, only traditional family symbols.
So, and that is what the right tend to say about the whole university college campus situation is that a lot of professors and deans are, according to them, taking a step back and going, we just don't want to get in trouble, so we're just going to let all these young kids
choose their own direction. The problem is with that, because I think it's more evident in America than in Australia, because you see constantly in the news, like there was one the other day, they had a big punch on riot kind of thing. The lecturers and professors and that took a step back because the dean didn't take a leadership position on it. He was like, well, isn't that your job as an educator and a mentor to these kids so you can direct them? It's like, people probably get angry, because not many people like Jordan Peterson, but he's generally right.
Yep.
Like, that podcast you introduced me to, Jordan Peterson, and that one where he talks about, I'm only being attacked by the students at these left-wing rallies, or I'm being shouted down in lecture halls for voicing my opinions, but yet I don't hear the trans or the gay people saying, you're wrong. He actually hears the opposite, take it for what it is. It may be a small minority of those people. It might be a large majority of those people. They're taking it and they're going, thank you. Because this isn't... People are trying to fight a battle for us that we don't... We just want to move on with our lives.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they find what happens is when these guys actually try to engage these people that are protesting them, they don't actually have an argument. And they don't want to discuss.
No.
Like, they don't want to debate with them because they're like, well, I don't actually know enough about it. I just was sort of tagging along and I wanted to scream at people, and it's just tribalism, essentially.
Oh, it's totally
people,
tribalism.
Everyone wants a sense of belonging, isn't it?
Society's so polarised at the moment. People are picking teams and then just, I don't know.
It's very, like Zachy said, like it's very, very much evident in America at the moment because people are just so anti-Trump or they're so anti-Hitler. So automatically people just go, zoom, and people are on two sides. It's
fucking hate
what's going on?
I think everyone in America is pretty anti-Hitler.
But the thing is, everyone's...
Clinton.
Shit. Jesus.
I mean, say Hillary. I think I put Hillary and...
Don't worry. Yeah.
It's the same thing, Tommy.
Hitler.
Anti-Hitler, fucking hell.
The thing is, the problem in America...
Go on record and say that I'm anti-Hitler.
The problem in America is that anyone who's right-wing is a Nazi now. So it's like...
Totally.
Everyone can't be a Nazi. The word ceases to have any meaning if everyone's a fucking Nazi.
But the odd thing is with the Nazi thing is you have I follow a lot of like gun guys on Instagram and so on. They're generally like ex-servicemen. They talk a lot of shit generally. But one guy put up a really good post and he's like, was it like 200,000 Americans died. So, this flag had like the swastika and stuff like that. And it's just like, he goes, and they think it's okay to drag it around? Like, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, and this was talking about the right-wing guys in the South, where they had the torch burning ceremony and shit from like the 1930s.
Yeah.
And it's like, he was like, hang on, this isn't an American thing. These guys are saying they're American. I'm an American.
Yeah.
That doesn't represent me. And it was like that one in the city that... I believe our friend was engaged with.
Yeah.
That picket or rally, as we'll call it. They asked, I think, it was really kind of biased news as well because the first thing they did is they asked one of the the women from the Rise Up Australia Party or Australian First Party, so basically Nazis.
Yep.
And they were like, you know, oh, how do you feel about we're sticking up for Australian values? And that was all she said. And no shit, for her, she had a swastika tattooed on her neck, up a lapel here, and then like an armband. I'm like, huh. But then it was really odd because they asked someone on the far left who they gave more airtime to. You know, to be fair, that girl on the left was actually coherent and could give a better set of kinds. But it was like she still had like, you know,
hammer and sickle.
The hammer and sickle. I'm like, but both of those ideologies,
they're both shit house.
Yeah, they're both shit.
Totally.
They both killed a lot of people for little gain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but for some reason, like I see a lot of socialist alternative posters at uni. And I'm like, well, why is that symbol
people are loving the old socialism? It's a big thing at the moment, isn't it? Socialism's the way to go.
No, but the thing is,
tried.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The thing is, you having a discussion with someone of a socialist persuasion, like someone's like, oh, I'm a socialist. Okay. So do you...
That means I don't eat meat.
That's vegan talk.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they'll instantly go, oh, but, you know, I don't think that I look to Russia and you know, for some kind of vastule of socialist behaviour. I'm like... Hang on. Marxism, Lenin, then Stalin. And I'm pretty sure those guys, let alone Lenin, killed a shit ton of his own people in a civil war. Then Stalin's like, I want to keep this, you know, this socialist thing going and the communism thing going. Kills 30 million of his own people and two great famines. And then they go on to Mao and keeps on going. The list goes, I'm just like, hang on. This doesn't make any sense.
Totally, yeah.
I don't know how that is, like Daniel said, it's not, I don't know, the hammer and sickle... It's not acceptable, you know.
You mean why is the swastika so unacceptable on the hammer and sickle? Is not the same level? You know kind of why, because one, you know, was against tyranny and blah blah blah, but at the same time, like communism was just as bad.
It's like look what Nazism is associated with genocide and
But the thing is, if you look through history and actually. Like, you don't even have to educate yourself that much. A quick Google search or Wikipedia search, you know, you can find out that, like, the pogroms did to the Jews, which you educated me the other day, and then in the Ukraine, and then you look at what the Russians did to the Chechens. The Chechens were relocated in 1945 from 1939 and then put back. They moved a whole people and killed half of them, you know. And I'm pretty sure
because Germany overruled the Chechens in the Second World War, was it?
No. So what happened was Chechnya was like, you know,
Chechnya.
Kazakhstan and all those places were part of the Soviet Empire. So the Chechens were a different type of Islam as well. They were quite separately. I think were they a different type of Muslim?
I don't know.
Anyway, so they're like a little bit different.
About bagels of milk.
It's like, I want a bagel. You know, so they were a little bit different. And what Stalin did, it was in like the late 30s, just before the war. They relocated the whole Chechen population from Chechnya to scatter out through Siberia and through the eastern part of Europe closer to China. Yeah. And then after the war, they were like, we better repopulate this. The Chechens came back. And then so, like, you know, they persistently killed the Chechens for a long period of time, you know. That's one example, and they did it with
there's so many lists of people that they've murdered. I mean, it's not just in Russia; it's in every country.
China,
that
look at the China's
socialism has been. But the point is,
but look at European fucking colonial.
That's one of the worst.
Colonialism.
Colonialism in Africa.
Look at European cologne. I mean, it's got really...
Hey, I like a good cologne. Yeah. In my head.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I rub it.
The bagel.
Bagel.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ripping a dead dog.
You know what? I've read and you like this one, Katsy. Have you seen the book, or maybe you might have heard the guy's podcast when he was promoting the book, called Tribe by Sebastian Junger?
I've been meaning to read it.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet, though.
It's fucking great. It's so interesting. It's all about... It's all about, like, obviously tribalism, and we talked about this on the podcast with Max, so I'm a bit hesitant to go over it again, but you guys you'll get right behind it, I reckon. So they talk about how you're talking about, like, before, about how people just genuinely want to pick a side. Like, people like to feel like they're a part of some sort of community, and because we don't have our tribal community anymore, you know, a lot of people are stuck in an office space, come home, fucking sit at home by themselves, and don't have a sporting club. They don't have anything, you know. So they want to pick a side. They want to have something they can cling to.
Totally.
So it's a lot about that kind of stuff, but some of the real interesting parts of the book are like talks about how in tribal societies. So when there was when the Spanish went and into Mexico and the conquistadors and all the way through South America and the Indies and stuff, that the Europeans would often see the way that the Indians and the locals would live, and they would bail and they would go and live with them. They would go, "Fuck this! I'm off with these guys. This looks way better." So, and the thing is, that would happen on a very regular basis. It would also happen with children. Children would be taken from the European settlers, or vice versa. So there would be Indian children taken into the European settlement, and when there would be children from the Indians that were with the Europeans that were growing up, it would take one conversation from a tribal elder to get them back to the tribe. Then when there was a European child that was with the Indians, there was no case that they could ever be brought back, no matter what happened. There was thousands and thousands and thousands of cases of people deferring from Europe into these tribal communities and just never coming back.
Never vice versa.
Never once vice versa. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of examples, and through all this conquest of the Europeans did, and never one example of, Pocahontas going back and defaulting from, there's obviously the famous tale of Pocahontas, but there's never an example of an Indian going, Europe's got it going on. I'm staying with these guys.
So what do you put that down to then?
Well, the whole book, Tribe, or a good part of the book is the fact that it's very similar to, like, if you read Sapiens and read between the lines what he's trying to say, and Guns, Germs and Steel, all these books that kind of talk about culture and how we do things and how it's all formulated. I mean, science is awesome, and we've been able to do some amazing things, and we'll continue to do that in the Western world. I just like asking people that are smart and forward thinking, like, are we doing it right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the interesting question, because I think that way of life is more satisfying for humans. Honestly, I was watching a documentary. It's like a series on Netflix called 30 Below Zero. It's basically all these people who live above the Arctic Circle in Alaska, and they all have these subsistence lifestyles, and they're all so happy. Yeah. They live in like minus 20 degree temperatures. There's this one guy, he's a white dude, and he's got an Inuit wife, and he's got like 4 Inuit children. Yep. And they go seal hunting, they hunt moose and elk and all this sort of stuff. And one thing I noticed about all people on this show is that they're all incredibly intelligent. Yep. And the amount of thought that's required just to hunt and to live in that, like, it requires so much intelligence just to survive. And you go, well, that's what our brains were programmed for. That's, and these guys, I don't think they suffer from anxiety or anything like that, because they're living in the moment. They're like, what do I need to get for my next meal? I've got this thing to do. I need to chop some wood. I need to go do this. I need to do that. There's all these things that they need to do, and they're all content. Yeah. They love their life. And it's like, okay, we can see that way of life is probably the best way to live. But we have a population of 7 billion plus. Yeah. And obviously we can't go back to that. We can't. So what do we do as a society to make ourselves more happy and to possibly integrate aspects of that nomadic subsistence lifestyle to make us more happy?
Well, sorry, Zachy, but like there's a couple of things that I want to explore with what you just said. Like, our society is just so easy for us nowadays. And like you said, evolutionarily speaking, we're built to survive. And yet all we have to do is walk 200 metres to Coles and all the food's there. It's like our minds are constantly craving something to do because we've got nothing to do, you know? But there's something else as well. In that sort of lifestyle, I was actually having this discussion with my girlfriend last night. She's just in Bali at the moment. Just going to plug her. Yeah, I've got a girlfriend at the moment. She was saying like, Siobhan, I've just been to Bali and I'm seeing all these people and they're just so happy. Like, it's just so hard. Like, we're so privileged and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, look, I totally agree. Except I just feel like there's a certain degree of ignorance associated with that lifestyle where it's like, we're for here, white privileged males, what want to call that sort of stuff, where our expectation is so high because we have the greatest opportunity out of 7.5 billion people in the world. We have access to everything, which makes it tough. And like with these people, they don't, I almost feel like some of them, especially in sort of more condensed tribal environments, they don't know what they're missing out on. So how can they not be happy?
It's all relative.
Like, I've just got to go and get food.
It's all relative.
Sweet, I've got my food.
Just with that food thing, like, a big thing is like, you're talking about hunting and stuff like that. So I go away deer shooting and stuff like that. You get to shoot a fucking deer this year. But the thing is, every time you go, right, so the first couple of times you go deer hunting, especially for sambar in Victoria or red deer or fallow deer, it's really hard. Because you're like, fuck, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Am I doing this right? If there's the wind there, you get a little puffer and you're like, fuck, is the wind direction there? So you're always checking these many variables. So you're constantly engaged with your surroundings and you're so aware of the environment you're in. And like, one thing is we're not very aware of our environment a lot of the time, So when you're out doing stuff like that, you're super engaged, but also you get better at it. You develop more skill. It becomes easier. And it's a challenge because you always need a little bit of a challenge. Challenge is good because you're now going out and you get so much more appreciation of, I've got to shoot a fucking 300 kilo deer, cut the quarters out of it, drag it back out of the bush, and not waste any of the meat because I've got to feed myself for the next, 3 months or so. And too often, I can guarantee if you were to take, yourself and Bill, you'd get something out of it because you always do. And just that perspective, like, wow,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to do with the tribal stuff. I think one of them is what you're talking about there with like actually hunting your own food and eating what you've brought to the table yourself. But the other thing is with all these, and I don't know. I know that there's a ding going off with the. I don't know where I'll try and fix it. Yeah. So sorry if listeners can hear that. There's a notification going off.
Fuck the ding. Hashtag fuck the ding.
But the other thing is, like in tribal communities or hunter-gatherer societies, whatever, like even there's still a lot of people that live this way still to this day. You spend a lot more time with your family and friends.
Yeah. Look at the Mongols. They flat out with it. You spend like in a tribal society, you'll spend the most of your life with your whole friends and family in the one area. Always surrounded by and with way more free time. That's why I was talking to my Spanish tutor in Guatemala the other day, and we were talking about happiness, comparative happiness between Guatemalans and Australians, and she believes that Guatemalans are happier than Australians due to a number of reasons, and I kind of tend to believe her because they have a lot of that still to this day. So they're not tribal societies. I mean, they're, economically they're, well behind us. They don't have anywhere near as much money as, the proper West like we do, but they still, it's a very common thing that you'll have all the kids living under the same roof till they're 40 or 50, then a couple might move out, but they'll look after, the grandma will still be with the family. It's a one congruent fucking family the whole time, that stays kind of together for the most part.
It's like a village.
Well, that's like
a village within a village.
Yeah.
It's like the Greeks, like the Greeks or anyone. Like I know, because my girlfriend's Greek, and they talk about their hurio, which is like their village, and it's like everyone lives to like it's pretty common for most people in Greece to live, into their 80s very comfortably and be super active. Yeah. Because you live in the same house as your brother and your sister and stuff like that, and it's still very much even though it's a modern society with the internet stuff like that, it's still very reliant around. Growing your own vegetables, you got your goats and stuff like that. But, with the plush comforts of modern, society. Yep. And you see how happy they are. And especially on the islands and stuff like that. Obviously, being in 30-degree weather for most of the time, it makes a difference.
It's good.
Chicks everywhere.
Chicks. That's Ibiza.
Yeah. You don't. I always notice that about the old Greek guys that I see locally, is that they all still hanging out with their mates. Yeah. They're still having coffee and cigarettes, chilling out, shooting the shit. Yeah. And I was just thinking about my own grandparents, and they were so isolated. And they'd have their little house, and hopefully their children would come to visit them. They wouldn't really have friends or anything like that.
Totally.
And I think about these old Greek guys, and I'm like, geez, they've got such an awesome community around them.
So many good
and maybe it's because they're Greek and blah blah blah, and they have a common culture and whatnot, but I was jealous in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I go to Oakley, I kind of want to be Greek.
Lucky you.
I go, hey mate, how you going? You'll have a frappe, thanks.
Cassie just goes down, buys his souvlaki and just starts walking the streets.
Hey boys, tell that story.
How you going, my friend? How are you?
Waiting for someone to talk to him.
So tell that story about when you used to get the bus stop when you were in school.
Oh, yeah. This old Greek lady, she must have come up to me several times and she'd go, hello, boy. Are you Greek? And I'll be like, no, I'm not Greek.
You're Greek.
You just would not believe that I'm not Greek. Why would I lie?
Just so people know, Dan Katz is the least looking.
That was so good. That sounded like the pedophile of Family Guy.
He's Greek. He's Greek. He's a Greek. He's not a Greek woman.
I'm a big believer in that whole thing of like happiness derived from expectation versus reality. Ooh. And that thing of where it's like, you know, we're trained to go and get things and to go and do things, and once you get them, you get a sense of achievement. It's like, great, I had sex, serotonin. Great, I had whatever. It's like if your life is derived around hunting and gathering, okay, which is what we've been evolved to do. The man goes out and he hunts the food.
And the women.
And the
Don't
women,
forget
sorry.
the women.
Yep, equality.
Yeah, we want that. I'm talking about hunting the women. I'm not talking about equality.
Come with Hill to me.
Bill is going in a very different direction.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I'm talking about that
Bill has got a
serotonin.
girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying to get that serotonin, boys.
Yeah, that's fair. No, but if we're trained to go out and get women and meat, they're two separate things. Shit. Then once you go and do it, you get a massive serotonin hit because you've just provided for your family. And ancestrally speaking, again, if you're a woman, you're trained to provide for the family and provide that nurturing and stuff, you get all those feel-good hormones because that's what we've evolved to do. As opposed to our lives now, where we're training for Commonwealth Games and to you know, go to Australia and all that sort of stuff and compete internationally and train to try to have the biggest travel company in the world and talk about mindfulness and all this sort of stuff. Every little setback is this, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, and the goal is just so much further long term as opposed to going, damn, I missed that deer. Oh, there's another one. I'll just try and get that. Like, it's so much harder to get that release of feel-good hormone.
Well, half the time it just feels like you're just kicking tires. Like,
exactly.
I'm not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
That's why they always say if you want to achieve something, you got to compartmentalize it and break it into smaller parts.
Yep.
Because otherwise you'll never have any feeling of accomplishment whatsoever. Especially like, you know, Commonwealth Games or something like that. That's seems like such a lofty goal.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how do you know that you're getting closer towards that? Whereas some of these goals are much more immediate. Hunt something. You got it. Or you didn't get it. After something else. They're immediate
have sex,
goals.
make baby.
Yeah, I feel like we all have such lofty goals these days.
Definitely.
And most of the time we're not getting anywhere. So it's depressing as shit.
Very depressing.
Exactly. And I feel like that's where a lot of anxiety comes from.
Yep.
Is just this feeling of, I don't know.
I'm not doing anything. I'm not
getting
worth
anywhere.
anything.
I'm worthless.
Yep, totally.
And that's only going to get worse as well because the way that we look at things now is we don't look at things as in a realistic, okay, sit down with your family and lay out your goals. This is what you want to achieve with your life. You go on social media and the people that followed the most followed by the most people for a reason.
Yep.
Because they have the flashiest, fanciest, coolest, fucking prettiest, whatever. You know what I mean? So our default now is like you'll flick through your Instagram and the people that you follow, like depending on what you do or what, you know, areas that you're interested in, you're always seeing 15, 30 seconds of the best of the best.
I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm better than you.
Our goals are just always, our goals are always so...
Expectation versus reality.
Yeah, so high these days, mainly with social media. That's why I think social media will be, you know, a problem in the future. I think it'll be,
It's a problem now.
Definitely a problem.
I honestly,
I think there'll be warnings on like cigarette packets.
I hate it. Like I can't get off it. I'm always on social media, but I hate it.
Yeah,
you know, it's
fucking crazy.
See, isn't that scary?
I read somewhere the other day, and they said, you know, 10 years ago, you went on the internet to escape life. Now you go into life to escape the internet.
Yeah.
And it's very true. It's like I feel like the more I'm away from the internet and social media in general, the happier I am.
I've recently been finding, like, because when I stopped working, obviously I had a bit more time on my hands. Like, I would find that if I wasn't watching YouTube or looking at Instagram or looking at Facebook, like in recent times, like, I was like, oh, fuck, I've got to look. I've got to look. Now I'm just like I'm trying really hard to do it, and I feel better. But you have to create a discipline because that little fucking thing you're very dependable upon it, and you become very addicted because it's like I just have a look. So like I implemented a thing where now instead of like going into my look at my Instagram to wake up in the morning, 5 minutes in bed, I read like the news or something. So I get the Google app for the news, and I start reading that because you got to try and stay away from it because you become super dependent. Like, it would make me feel, I got to have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
You know, like you felt.
It's literally an addiction. They've done studies on the little red one notification sign and the similarities between receiving a notification and someone having cocaine, and the brain stems go off in the exact same fashion, where it's like you're craving that notification, and because it's like, oh, someone's talking to me, someone's reaching out to me, I feel loved, I feel good, I want to, as opposed to like, I need some cocaine, I need a hit.
And it's programmed to be addictive.
Very much.
The colour red is the most addictive colour to see in your vision. It's the most catchy. It's the most. It gives you the biggest rush of endorphins or whatever. Because all these guys that have like Facebook's, Instagram, owned by Facebook, obviously, Snapchat, for all the apps, whatever we're talking about here, they're all like Facebook itself is one of the 5 most powerful companies in the world, pretty much. And so imagine the actual research and development going into making us that addicted. Because and YouTube is the next one, owned by Amazon. Amazon will be the first $1 trillion company, but Bezos will be the first trillionaire. So the biggest company in the world basically owns YouTube. So all their algorithms, all their feed loops, all the way that they feed you the information, like that's so that you don't ever switch it off.
Yeah.
Obviously you can, you do, but like you can't beat the world's greatest minds like trying to force us down this path. But there's a really interesting thing with when I read Kevin Kelly's book, The Inevitable. So he talks about the 12 factors that'll shape the future. And one of them is talking about the flow. I forget what he actually calls it. I think it's like the flow, but it's like the flow of information. So like your Facebook newsfeed, obviously. You click this thing, it'll take you down that path. You click this thing, it'll take you down that path. And it tries to, obviously, the algorithm tries to feed you what you want to see the most.
Recommended so what's gonna, for you.
What's going to keep you on that train of thought. And this is the problem that people get caught up in one kind of train of thought, one conspiracy theory, one thing to get behind, like we were talking about before, like left wing, fucking this, that, right wing,
there's no in between. There's no.
Yeah, that's because if you've got, I turn on YouTube, right? I turn on my Apple TV. First thing I go to is YouTube. At the moment, my whole YouTube is NBA basketball, UFC fighting, Fighter and the Kid, Joe Rogan, and Ricky Gervais. That's the only things I'll ever see. And I have to go into my subscriptions to look at stuff like the travel pages that I subscribe to, whatever. I have to go subscriptions rather than the homepage.
Suggested things.
things.
So true.
So what Kevin Kelly talks about is that's going to get so. It's already so good. It's already so good, so streamlined, so amazing. But what needs to happen, and what hopefully will happen in the future, is the suggested things. So say we're talking about transgender fucking the transgender movement in and the pronouns in fucking America, like we were talking about before.
Yeah.
So somebody's going down that rabbit hole, like whether they're on
left wing so good, left wing so good.
Whether they're on one side or the other.
Right,
at the moment, the way it works is you get fed all of that side of the story. So I think that there's a lot of people that are working on it, or they're trying to bring it. So what the idea is, or what Kevin Kelly's idea is that you need to have the information that we get. You need to have, hey, it's really interesting that you like this train of thought. Have you ever thought about watching these videos that are the opposing train of thought? Yeah. So people don't get that one-sided fucking newsfeed.
No, they're positive feedback loops.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, you like that? Here's some more. Here's some more.
I never thought of it.
And it keeps getting worse.
Totally. It's scary.
You can't escape your own mindset, and that's why it's so dangerous, and that's why Facebook got a real bad rap at one point over the last couple of years, because Facebook are very left wing. Facebook were feeding like that,
BuzzFeed and all that sort of stuff.
Facebook like one style of news, and that would get a more of a play on Facebook's algorithm, and that's kind of illegal. Like you can't feed people your viewpoints as Facebook. They have like
that a propaganda?
Kind of. Like they have a responsibility. They're the biggest fucking platform in the world, news platform in the world. They have a responsibility to be even, Yeah. So that's the problem. Like that's why these trains of thoughts get so fucking solidified and so solid and so strong, because at the moment, the way that the internet's so young, the way that we use it, and the way that it's grown, like no one's taken into account. You need to have people that are fucking, getting a well-rounded argument in whatever they're.
The problem is though, is that. Say you want to get another perspective. The other perspective is so far on the other side that you're just going to discount it straight away.
Yeah.
It's because in order to get heard, they need to be so contrary.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's
It's
I
tough.
never thought of it like
is
that.
dangerous.
Yeah, it's crazy,
Because
isn't it?
it's
Blow
really,
my
it's
mind.
really
It's
interesting
crazy.
how like we have more access to information than ever before, and yet people a bit like listening to smaller and smaller subsets of information.
Yeah.
Because they only listen to what they agree with already, because they have
Yeah.
the ability to filter everything.
Yeah.
You don't just
It's
open
filtered-
a paper
filtered for
anymore
them.
like you used to and just go, oh, I only want to read this type of article.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, well, you can do that.
But you don't.
You never used to be able to.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing with,
But-
like, even before we started recording, we were looking at my recommended for you on YouTube. And, like, even as a person, I would describe myself more or less as a centralist with just ideas on both sides, left wing and right wing. I mean, I just don't care so aggressively about things like that. But on my recommended for you, there's Milo Yiannopoulos, who's so far alt-right. And he's a provocateur and he's a troll and all this sort of stuff. And I probably watched a few of his videos because he's just like I said, a provocateur, and he can be funny and he just goes to probe people. But that is probably subconsciously feeding an ideology into my own mind,
No, but you're probably taking bits of that you agree with.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right.
You'd be like, oh, I disagree with that, but I agree with that.
Yeah.
I disagree with. I mean, you can listen to the other side and be like, I agree with that.
Yes.
I don't like that. I just, it seems that people are buying into one person too much.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
everything this guy says, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we saw that with...
There are grey areas.
This is stuff with education, though, as well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, after 2001, 9/11, the terrorist attack on the World Trade Centers and that, people went out and they interviewed people on their political stance. And people would say... I don't agree with everything George Bush says, but I mean, he's a Christian, and that's why I'm with him. Or like people do things like that. Where it's like, I mean, I don't like everything George
Do you
Bush
need the
says.
accent? I love the accent.
Well, the Southern American, like, I'm having a bit of a crack.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah, yeah.
they say,
I like
they
the good
literally say, I don't like fucking towel head motherfuckers, so I'm going to go with George W. Bush. I'm just like, where's the education on that? They're following just one person because of some very small aspect of his life.
Well, that's what people are finding about the whole Donald Trump thing, is that they say, well, a lot of people were voting for him because, he said one thing that they agreed with, and they care about that more than they care about anything else.
Totally.
So they go, I'll vote for this guy.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh, you voted for him? You must be a fucking Nazi.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it just gets so muddled up. It's like, no, he's really passionate about that one thing.
Yeah.
And because we've got this two-party system, that's how you decide who you vote for.
Yep.
It's like, what is most important? Because each person is going to have things that you agree with and you disagree with about them, but you got to decide what you care about above all else.
Yeah, that's right.
I just don't know how to get around it, because with these politicians, obviously they're going to say whatever they can to hold power.
Yeah,
So that's why a lot of these social issues are getting sort of politicized. Like
very much so.
Like gay marriage. You're seeing that so much, and it's like Shorten's pushing it because he knows the Liberals are against it, and so he can get sort of political gain out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Well, that's the thing. I mean, people will follow Trump to the nth degree because everything Hillary Clinton says is just terrible because it's just been built up by what you were talking about before, but with all that recommended for you. Like, I swear to God, I'll be on YouTube, and then in 2 hours' time, I would have clicked one video, and then all of a sudden I'll be in the fucking rabbit hole of YouTube convincing everyone that, JFK was assassinated by fucking people on the inside, and then I have to take myself out of it and go, what the fuck am I saying? Like, I don't know. I've just watched one whole side to that,
Isn't it crazy, just by the way, how involved we are in American politics?
Yeah, I know. Well,
how crazy is that?
when America sneezes, everyone catches a cold.
I know. It's just like my mum is obsessed with American politics. Like, she reads article after article. She's subscribed to I don't know how many news services, and she's just talking to me about, Congress did this and blah blah blah. I'm like, Mum, you're not fucking American.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are you so into this?
What do you mean I'm not American, bro? Dude, last night I was
You'd
at
think
this
that
frat party.
she knows more about it than most Americans do. But I'm finding that not just with my mum, but a lot of people are like so into American politics and what's going on over there. But I guess they do. I mean,
Well, it affects
they're the most
everybody.
powerful
definitely
nation on
influences.
earth. So what they do concerns us all. But
Yep.
Well, it's more just tabloid. Like, it's just tabloids, really. Like, who really knows, as the average Australian, who really knows about fucking Trump and Hillary Clinton's fucking campaign policies?
And the
like
Russian involvement.
what they were promoting and what they were, for and against. It was like watching Bold and Beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their policies don't affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about healthcare and stuff, and you're like, well, what the? I don't fucking care.
Yeah, I got Medicare.
believe in healthcare.
Bro.
Yeah, I'm with Medibank Private. Everything's fine. So why am I worried about this? But I don't know. Maybe it's because a lot of these things, these platforms that we're on, are American.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't
The
remember
world's
who I was,
Americanized.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't remember who I
it's
was
just the way
listening
it
to,
is.
but someone said that, like, instead of having all these political debates, we should just get all of the world's leaders just fight it off in an octagon. And whoever wins, then they can go with their
Celebrity
politics.
deathmatch.
Like that Russian one where they punch on like in the half
In the-
basketball cage. Have you seen it?
What? No.
Haven't you seen it? It's like
I've seen it when they punch on in the Parliament. They've had some
No.
good
So there's
dust
like
ups.
this. There's like now. There's like in. I think it's like, have a guess. Russia and Poland.
Yeah.
It's like he's exactly the same as it's MMA,
Yeah.
but it's a team MMA.
He's
Are they in
sick.
suits?
No. Have you seen the suits of armor one?
I do
they
like a
got-
Royal Rumble WrestleMania.
No,
where it was just
no.
fucking
You have to
everyone
look
up.
this.
Wait, is this real or is this like
This
a
is actually a
funny
thing.
meme?
This is a thing. This is actually a thing. There's like 5 or 6 days, like 5 Polish dudes and like 5 Russian dudes. They're fighting in an actually sanctioned sport.
That's sick.
And they just hit each other. But the problem is, if you've got like a Bill on your team,
Yeah.
and he gets knocked out first,
Yeah.
Which would never happen.
Bill,
you know what I'm saying?
he snatched 105 once.
No, you know the problem is, you're fucked because
Yeah.
now you're one man down.
Yeah.
I was
So it's like Team MMA.
Team
it's
dodgeball.
Exactly
Team
what it is.
dodgeball.
But then there's that other one where they like dress
right.
up as knights and like beat the shit out of each other. It's
Well,
like,
you know who would win though, don't you? Old mate Putin's a fucking black
Yeah,
belt.
he's
in,
fucking black belt
He would
judo.
fuck
he
everyone
would
up.
fucking kill
Wouldn't he?
anyone.
He would just annihilate everyone.
seen his hip
Fuck him,
throws?
John Gordon. He's gone. So is there going to be a World War III, lads?
World War III?
Yeah. Is he on?
Nah.
Yes or no?
There's
No.
not going to be World War III. Are we
they're
talking
all
about,
just-
are we
they're all
talking about the
just-
North Korean thing?
Yeah, the whole North Korea.
It doesn't need to be North Korea, but will there
Well,
be
okay, but
a
that's-
world war?
Based
the next-
on based on the current tensions.
Given the
in
current
the world.
tension,
Current tensions.
there won't be a World War III.
Yeah.
This is what. Okay.
Well, they'll just swing their
People
dick
will
around.
just maybe disagree with me, but I think I know just a wee little bit on this, like just a bee's dick.
Yeah.
If, say, for instance, if North Korea attack with conventional weapons South Korea, the estimated about 3 million people will die in South Korea in the first 30 minutes of an engagement with North Korea. That's cool. Yep, that's bad. It's terrible. Once that happens, the Americans have 2 aircraft carriers based in the Sea of Japan right now. They will level North Korea in the first 2 hours. Now, like, that's going to be terrible. It's going to be a lot of people die, and it's going to be terrible. The Chinese will not, when it comes to the crunch, go, look, America, we're going to step in here like we did in the 50s. You're going to step in and you're going to say no. They're just going to go,
What do you do?
there's going to be some kind of like, carving up of that country where the Chinese will implement, probably the Americans, if they were smart, they'd put forward some kind of, China, you take the lead on this as a
Yep.
rebuild of this country. That'd be the thing, because China got too much to lose. They got bigger things to worry about than what's going to happen with North Korea. But in saying that, like, that's just what my opinion is and what I've read and what I've seen.
Yep.
It could go completely to shit. It could end up like a whole World War I situation where all of a sudden, well, he's got to step in for him and he's got to step in
Yeah.
for her, and next minute the Chinese are fighting us.
Yeah.
But the likelihood of that happening,
I think what's more likely at the moment, from what I'm saying, is not like a world war, but countries sort of imploding
Proxy.
from within.
yeah.
Like
That's-
you're seeing a lot of countries,
There's a lot of shit going on
a lot
in
of
countries,
shit going
isn't
on,
there?
and lots of different factors.
Yeah.
It's not one thing. It's not just immigration. It's not
Yep.
just whatever. A lot of these countries are on some very unstable ground at the moment.
Well, I mean, even talking about America again, where that recent riot where the Nazis like bowled down a couple of the left wingers in a car, like that's pretty fucking cool. I know that's just one little, very
But it's
small
not
thing.
just one thing.
But there's a
been
lot of
heaps
things
that.
going on,
Yeah, there's
hasn't
a heap
there?
of things. There was-
People are hating each other.
So, like I said before, I follow a lot of right-wing First Amendment guys, and they said, I remember one of them said he got pulled off. It's called tactical shit. He's got like 600,000 followers, and he said if Hillary Clinton wins the election and tries to take our freedoms away from us, there will be a fucking war. And I'm like, hang on. You had one of those, and that didn't work out really well at all. So like there's just this ingrained mentality. I think in America that the right are just as bad as the left, and there seems to be more and more people less in the middle. You know, so
yeah, well, that's right.
I doubt that would see America, because I think fundamentally, like it comes to crunch, they would never do that. I don't think America will ever implode, but I think like there'll be more of those attacks of left versus right.
Things will always, like you're just talking, Tommy, about, you know, people are hating each other. I think you said, like, that's just fucking. I feel like that's just the human race.
Yeah.
Like look at every cut everything up into a 25-year, you know, generation or whatever, and then say, have a look at the fucking wars and atrocities and the countries that imploded. It'll just keep happening.
Yeah.
It'll keep happening forever and ever. I mean, we may be getting slightly more, you know, mindful of each other and whatever and
empathetic.
civil and you could say evolving, but at the end of the day, like, we're 75 years removed from fucking the Second World War. We're no better than
Well,
we
if
were,
our tribal
like,
instinct remains as creatures of survival, then there's always going to be someone stepping on the toes of others.
Right. I think it's just human nature. I think it'll always keep happening. I do think, like, with the internet and education and I think the world is changing a little bit. I think for the better, as in people, but like. It's all evolution, and evolution takes fucking... Like, I mean, like, you can't evolve in 75 years.
No
you know?
way.
And it's going to... We might be a totally different, more peaceful race in a million years if we last that long.
Yeah, but it's going to take a long time. I mean, we're just monkeys.
We're
just monkeys with a very developed prefrontal cortex.
Yeah.
You know, so... Like, the challenge is trying to overcome our base instincts, which are very powerful. I mean, I notice it in myself when I start to get angry or start behaving irrationally, and I go, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I can extrapolate from my own emotions and go, no wonder the world's fucked.
Yeah.
I'm a good guy.
I'm a great guy.
Most of the time,
someone.
most of the time I'm a good guy, but
wall.
if you put me in
I
a
eat my
stressful
bagels.
enough situation, I could behave like a fucking animal.
Yeah.
And if you can recognise that in yourself, you go, okay, that's why the world's fucked.
Yeah, totally.
It's so funny you should say. Like, I think about, like, you know, especially with like me, from when I was like 18 to like 23, 22, the difference in your perspective of the world and your difference of how you value and look at yourself changes so much. Because there was a time where I used to just go out and like punch on for the fun of it, because it was like seen as the tough thing to do.
Yeah.
And now you couldn't think of anything worse to do, you know, like it's just stupid and stupidity. But like, it's just, you look back and you go, I'm just a big monkey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really scary.
It's very scary because we are self-evident. We actually can see that side of ourselves.
Yeah.
Where it's like this is all this, you know, very primitive behavior is coming from within us, and yet you're kind of like taking a mindful approach and looking at it. Except to a certain degree, you can't really stop it because it's just within us. It's entrenched with us. You know.
Exactly, and it's hard to separate what you think from what you feel. Like you go, okay, is this a base instinct right at the moment, or is this something I actually think? I don't fucking know.
Yeah, totally.
It's really hard to separate that stuff.
Do you know what I think is really interesting as well? Is that like we're all sitting here on phones and computers and we're talking about world politics and all this sort of stuff. But this is like, you know, like, oh man, the world's fucked, like World War III, yada, yada, yada. We're in like such a small time frame of human evolution.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been Homo sapiens for 2 million years or something. Who's to say that people weren't doing this thousands of years ago and their knowledge and generation's gone? And I mean, who really gives a fuck about this 100 years?
Exactly.
You know what blew my mind with that? Like, you know, you talk about evolution thing. I watched when he got me onto Neil deGrasse Tyson. I was going to say, yeah. When he got me onto, I watched The Cosmos.
Yes.
I was like sitting there, like, you know, he says, what was it? What changed Interstellar changed your life?
Interstellar, yeah.
That I was just sitting there going,
yeah,
it's just fucked.
Absolutely.
Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I go and lift weights tomorrow because it's this big.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
But it matters to me, so I went and did it.
Yeah.
But like, you get it, and you're like, it gives you education in that regard of whatever it may be, gives you a perspective, and you're just like, fuck it.
But I always seem to lose that perspective.
I don't really. I agree. We are in the grand scheme of things. So we don't even understand what's outside of our universe. Like I get it. We are so even if only Earth was the universe, even if Earth was we're still so fucking insignificant.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all we got, so we want to. So
Enjoy it. Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not diminishing the fact that we want to we're here, have a good time.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's
Jack me off,
existentialism. Like, you're going against existentialism by what it is. But I don't think you're being existentialist.
no,
when
I'm just
you're
giving
saying
you
that.
something that went well.
Yeah, it's just mind blowing. But
Yeah.
like, I think taking Zac's
gonna
undertone
change my life for it.
and approach is great, because it's like, you think I'm actually going to get the Carl Sagan quote on, suspended in a sunbeam, pale blue dust or whatever it is.
Pale blue
it's like,
dot.
yeah, pale
I
blue
think it's
dot.
called, yeah.
On my quad, because I think it's a really good way to stay humble. It's not a thing of going, oh fuck, nothing matters anymore. It's just a thing of going, shit, what I was talking about with my missus last night, or what I was like freaking out about, like, why am I worried about that? Like, who gives a shit about that? No one cares. Only I care. And if I think about it, I don't really even fucking care.
Yeah.
So
I know that's sort of fatalism.
yeah, it's fatalism.
Where
It's very much.
where it's just like, well, nothing I do really. I mean, everything's sort of predetermined. Nothing. I mean, it is what it is. If I die, I die. You know. And I feel like that's how I've been a lot of my life. It's just I just go, well, look, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
You know, either I'll
that
be
Murphy's
successful.
Law?
Sorry.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. Oh, well, I generally go by. I expect everything. I plan for the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And then I visualize what that worst case scenario is, and I go, actually, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then I get over it. They go, if that's the worst case scenario, and I can deal with that.
Yep.
I've got nothing to
Yeah,
worry about.
totally.
That's how I deal with anxiety or worrying about shit.
The worst case scenario test.
I think you made me a lot more. I think become like when we lived together, and I lodged his homestead. It gave me a better perspective on like was on like just
I was
being
just saying
more.
we got 5 or 10, and we have to.
Yeah, we do. We didn't even talk about the Daniel Cormier thing.
We've had a good rant though. Go
Yeah,
on.
we had a good rant.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, but like it just gave you a better perspective of being more relaxed with things. It's like you know what I mean.
You should
Bill,
read,
Bill fucked me up then.
I know, I fucked you. I had to
It's
get
gonna be
in.
really
We'll end up.
it's gonna be really good, but so fuck
we'll end
you.
up getting onto an epic tangent, and I'll have to pull us away, and then
This
I'll
guy,
feel like a
this
jerk.
guy.
So.
Yeah.
90 minutes.
You
90
should read
minutes. 3 hours.
Zach, you should read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Seen that book? By Mark Manson?
I thought you were actually. I thought it was like you were
I'm
like.
not taking the piss out of you.
Oh yeah. I'm so used to it.
Genuinely.
I'm genuinely
Yeah,
asking.
this big weird smile face like.
Yeah.
Like, wait for the punchline. I'm like, no, it's a book, mate. But
It's a cop.
I
It's a
don't
cop.
read it. I listen.
it's rad. It's good. You'll like it. It's like it talks about what you're kind of talking about, like to a degree. Like you have to choose what you really give a fuck about. Sounds wanky, and the first chapter's like seems like he's trying to prove out how many swear words he can get in and how cool he is. Like, but then it gets into some really good stuff. But like, obviously, talks a lot about like. We as people have only so much mental energy that we have, you know, like you have to get yourself in a mind frame. It's like kind of like stoicism, I suppose, like modern age stoicism, where it's like you have to pick and choose what you really care about and what you don't give a fuck about. Like, that bad thing happened, or this side of my life's not working out, or this shit I've been through. Like you have to be able to go, you know, I can't waste my time on that.
No.
I can't give a fuck about that shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Because there's way more important stuff for me to focus the little fucking mental energy that I have in the day on these positive things and stuff. And they're the top books that I really like. So, like that, it's like just a bloke, like a rough around the edges fucking guy telling you it's not really. I've read all kinds of the self-help books, you know. Like I talked to Tommy about it the other day, like The Power of Now wise. It's like very. For me, it's very airy-fairy. People love it. Don't get me wrong. Tommy loves it. Most people fucking love it.
Yeah, you say that I love it. I take things from it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm just
okay.
using an example.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
You love it.
But I like
You're a cock.
the kind of... I don't know. I really like that book. There's 10% Happy I read the other day, which is kind of similar, but it's more about meditation. But like just by a regular bloke, and you kind of can... I take more out of those.
I think for me it's two things. One, it is choosing what you care about, like you're saying, and the other two is being grateful for what you do have. I think gratitude is also very important. I mean,
100%.
it really pisses me off when I hear people sort of rant about how shit their life is, or they overplay something.
You're a fucking white male.
Yeah,
Shut up.
like, a good example is I don't mean to throw my missus under the bus,
But she sucks.
but she's hurt her wrist right at the moment, so she can't really train and blah blah blah. And so she was having a bit of a cry about that last night. She was like, she was cooking the salmon and she kind of fucked it up. She's like, I fucked up the salmon. My wrist is shit. My life's so shit at the moment. And I was just like, your life's not shit. You got a fucking awesome life.
Your salmon shit.
I know. Can't cook. But I was just like, please.
What kind of woman are you?
No, just maintain some perspective.
Yeah.
Life's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And every
Fuck guru.
and we can say, this is fucked. We're talking about everything that's wrong with the world. But at the same time, the fact that you're born, that you're alive, is a fucking miracle beyond imagining. Everything's awesome. We're sitting here in a fucking studio having a chat. I'm going to go get a latte after this.
Nice. Can I just...
Zap sipping on San Pellegrino. We are so fucking lucky. So you got to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
I got a
100%.
sick story about that. It'll be two
That was
seconds.
a perfect place to end the show.
Yeah, Zach's going to bring it back. He's going to go
We're going to have to go another 10 minutes to find out a good place to end it.
No, it's going to take 2 minutes.
I'm joking.
Fuck you. Throw some San Pellegrino rubber. You know how you're saying about perspective? I remember just before the last national championships, I was doing shit. It was just shit. Everything was shit. And I listened to a Jocko Willing podcast. And then I listened, and then it had I listened to it online on through his YouTube, and then it had one of his quote things he'd made up, a video that they'd done.
Yep.
And it was said good.
That's it.
It says if you can say the word good, it means you can do anything. And I listened to the whole fucking thing, and I was just like,
Sorry.
It made a massive difference to me.
Good.
That's all right. I had a life-changing moment.
You just got the point. You go. It said good. No. The point's like, is that it?
Yeah.
That's the point. That's the
I don't
point.
know. This is Rudimentary Radio. No, sorry, mate. I'm just joking.
Guys, if you ever listen to Bill, fuck you. It was really good.
It was good.
No,
I
it just
get your
was saying,
point. I do get
just
your point.
because you can put perspective in. If you can say the word good, no matter how bad the situation, if you can go, this is good. I can get out of this. I can move forward. And if you keep saying it, because for me, I could say good meant that I could do something with my lifting. I could move forward, and I could move forward, and it just fucking blew my mind a bit.
Yeah.
Something simple like that.
Definitely science behind that as well.
Yeah. All right, better end it now, Bill.
Well, hang on. I want to end it like this. So
Tell me,
we've spoken about a lot of politics and a lot about the world going to shit and all this sort of stuff. What is one way to take your mind away from that and live a personally more satisfying life, Dan?
For me, a few things that I would suggest. I'd just get out of your mind. And I mean, you speak about this all the time with mindfulness and stuff. But for me, the most powerful thing is going to the gym, exercising, hanging out with your mates, going to a happy place. I love going to the gym, hanging out with my mates, getting out of my head, doing something I love, lifting weights. That's the best way for me to meditate. Focus on something. Focus on getting good at something. And I don't know, just and at the same time, try to maintain some perspective, show appreciation for things, show some gratitude. Basically, that's what I would say, yeah.
Exactly the same thing. I know for me, mastering another skill. So, doing, it's all cliche stuff, doing jiu-jitsu and going hunting. I know that those two different things, because they're so far removed from what I'm already doing, that I'm just fuck yeah, I'm gonna get better at this. And it's a massive relief for me. If I go and do jiu-jitsu, it's fuck yeah, this is great. I don't even think about weightlifting, and that's really odd for me, because I'm constantly thinking, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to be that weight, blah, blah, blah. And just, trying different tasks and focusing on those tasks as well give me that release.
It's definitely a good way to stay humble, is it? Practicing something new that you just suck at.
Yeah.
Bill?
I'm all right.
You're pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think the
What's
boys
one
are...
thing that helps you, mate?
Well, I talk about this shit all the time, but
I know
for
it really
me,
cares.
For me, I think prioritising time with your friends. It's a totally cliche one, but obviously for me, last year having a shit run and the years prior, one of the big things was not spending time to be around the people that you fucking enjoy the most. Totally the most cliche answer you could ever get.
Yeah, but it made you happy though.
Friends.
That's what matters.
Yeah, absolutely. It
worked.
it's actually
works.
priceless stuff, and you can yeah, that's my little 2 bobs worth.
Yeah.
Lads, anything you want to plug real quick?
We're competing next week. We compete.
Up in Gold Coast for the Commonwealth
Podcast.
Championships.
Yes.
How do we follow that?
You can just look up the live stream.
When will it be?
Saturday next. It starts Monday.
So
it starts
when-
Monday next
we
week.
may not
So
have
it's
a-
the 4th.
Yeah, so where can you see the results of that?
You can look on
After it's
the
been-
Australian Weightlifting Federation page, or you can follow my Instagram.
Yeah, there you go.
Big Papa
Or
69.
Daniel's Instagram.
And what would your Instagram be, mate?
Oh, well, it'd be Zac _Grgurevic.
There you go. Can you spell that for the people?
Gurevic.
Gurevic.
There's not one vowel.
What is it?
Grgurevic.
Grgurevic.
You
You
spelled
didn't
it wrong.
say that. You fucked
spelled
it up.
wrong the first time. You said G-U-R-S.
Yeah, you actually did. You went Gurevic.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you did.
We've
And
got
there's-
it recorded,
and
boys.
there's also-
We can listen back.
Play that shit back.
All right, rewind this 30 seconds. Listeners, rewind. He fucked his own
Yeah.
game up.
There's also 3 vowels in that fucking last name as
Hey,
well.
I don't pretend to be an expert
shit.
at what vowels are.
I don't pretend to be an expert at my own name.
What do you mean? You want me to spell my own name?
I actually fucked up my own name.
This has been Adventure It Radio.
Bye.
All right, we're out. All right, guys. Hope you liked that one. If you did, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, leave us a rating and review. We still haven't got our 77th review. We literally, downloads are still going well, but we just have slowed on the reviews. So I don't know why that is. But my offer still stands that the next person that leaves us a rating and review, we'll read it out on the show, and I'll give you a $1,000 Adventure Fit travel voucher. We've been stuck on 76 for too long, and I'm over it. I'm done with it. So there's the offer, and also show notes. If you want anything, if you want anything from the show that we mentioned, there'll be links to all of that, and that will be at www.adventurefittravel.com/radio. Sorry, just had a mind blank. Also, don't forget to check out Audible, audibletrial.com/ADVF radio. Check out Quash Creative. Use the code radio at quashcreative.com and you will get a free SEO report or a report on your current or existing brand. And head to adventurefittravel.com. Use the code word radio for 10% off any and all of what we have going on as well. That's it from me. See you next week.
Discovery Roger, go for deploy.